So we're in our month of October, and this is the month that I like to talk about all of the scary things that can happen in our world. This is the month of Halloween, and you're being scared anyway. You might as well go through your fears and face your fears and do what needs to be done in and through your world. But today I want you to remember that you have the power to chase your fears away, and that power is you. That power is not only in you, it's not only around you, it's not only given to you, it is you. You are that very power to chase away your fears. But first you have to continue to affirm that fear has absolutely no place in your life. Absolutely. Not creeping in. You know, like when there's a leak in your house or something like that, you find water creeping into the craziest of places. Sometimes fear does that. Fear creeps in to the craziest of thoughts, the craziest of situations. But we know that our power clears the way. Our power within us clears the way so that we can experience good, experience joy, and experience fulfillment. So would you affirm with me? Fear has absolutely no place in me.
Fear has absolutely no place in me.
Power clears the way in me. So know that right here and right now that yes, power is clearing the way so that you can stop looking and seeking outside confirmation of the fulfillment that will always start within. We're looking outside for our fulfillment, looking outside for our joy, looking outside for all of these things, but forgetting that it has to start within us in order for it to be expressed in our life. So we can look at ourselves as the I person, right? Not just the I am, but who we think we are, who we know we are, who we are on a daily basis. Now, living life can bring on so many fears, and I believe that we have to talk about these things. We have to talk about the fears that we had or that people are having now as they are teenagers going into adulthood. I remember having that fear of what will I do with the rest of my life? How will I gain an income? That's what, the teenagers are looking at right now, going into college. What will they study? How will they bring an income? How will they get a job? Even nowadays, jobs aren't what my parents' generation's jobs were, where you could stay at one job for the rest of your life and gain a pension. And even now the lunch hour, I don't know where the lunch hour went, but these jobs are doing all types of things. And there could be a fear of, not pleasing the manager one day and they have an attitude and so they fire you, and so there's the fear of your income. People have fear of health, whether it's the family genes, they had diabetes, they had cancer, all these things within their family genes, so now they're scared that they would have it. People also have fear of the habits that they used to have that are affecting their body, the environment that they live around, and even age is a big factor. I always think that we need to stop talking about that and thinking about that in our life, having that fear of old age, not realizing that it must be a faith of good age, of God's health and God's love in our life. I also look at new parents. We have one, I live near one of the best hospitals, the best pediatric hospitals in the country, and all of my friends had their babies at the hospital. And when we were growing up, I think the first person that I knew to have a baby, we were graduating, and so it was like, okay, we are not even graduated yet, but now we're stepping into adulthood. We're all stepping into parenthood and trying to help our friend parent their child. But you also have a fear, even though it's not your child, and I can imagine what parents go through, you have a fear of your children getting hurt. Right? You have a fear of your children befalling some harm or even worse, right? And I used to have a fear of just holding a baby. So I could just imagine when you get this baby and you're at the hospital, many parents look at themselves like, you're letting us leave with this human being. What are we supposed to do now? And so there is an unfair, whether it be rational or irrational, that's why these fears come. And even as they grow, you want to make sure that you're raising a good person, right? You want to make sure that you're raising a best representative incentive for good. So that's one fear. One of the biggest fears, though, we have is fear in relationships and friendships, right? Not only about making friends, because it is difficult to make friends as you get older, but also of keeping friends, right? Will that person hold up their end of the partnership or friendship bargain? Will they betray you? Will they be honest with you? Will they be honorable to your friendship? Will they be faithful? And then you also think within that now, have you even set boundaries or parameters around the friendship? What you will accept, what you won't accept, what you are allowing the person to accept for themselves. You know, all these things are the things that we fear about our relationships. If we don't do the right thing, will they still love me? And if I don't do the right thing, will something happen in life? So there are all these fears, whether they are rational or irrational. But we must remember that fear is real, but it is irrelevant to the master plan. The plan is already set before us, and fear is irrelevant. So what must we have now? We must have our faith. The end of fear is faith. When we stop fearing what is next, we have faith in what can be. I heard one minister years ago, and I even forget who said it, gave an acronym for fear that says false errors appearing real. I think it was Dr. Miller probably. False errors appearing real, that acronym, right? So we talk about these errors in the world, the mistakes we made, the mistakes people made that brought us fear, brought us worry, brought us doubt in our world, right? But I want to change that into false errors appearing relevant. Sometimes fear is so real in our lives that we think it is relevant for our development, but it is not. There are times where we feel that we are missing something in life just because we don't see it in the physical world, just because we can't touch it in our world. But we have to remember that we have to give our joy to life. We have to give our love to life. We have to give our fulfillment to life. Think about this thought that comes from A Course in Miracles, I think one of the greatest spiritual, and I dare to say metaphysical, but it's not in that vein. So we'll say just a great spiritual book called A Course in Miracles. In A Course in Miracles, the authors say, only what you are not giving can be lacking in any situation. We have to think about that. The things that we feel that we are lacking in any situation, we have to investigate for ourselves, within ourselves. Am I giving the love I am seeking from that situation? Am I giving the peace? Am I giving the laughter? Am I giving the joy that I desire, that I feel that I am missing from that situation? Once we come to understand that, we understand a greater force in our lives. We come to understand that we are in charge of a great universal energy. This universe is big, but we are also in charge of the energy that is around us. We are entrusted with the power of a great universal energy. And so we can chase away our fear, letting our joy be the soldier that fights for our good. Let your love be the soldier that fights for your quest for good, that fights for your success. Let your fear be chased away, knowing that you have a soldier of love, a soldier of joy, and that brings with you the assurance of fulfillment. That brings with you the assurance that wherever you go, whatever you do, there will be a fulfillment. That whatever the fears, whether they be rational or irrational, there will always be fulfillment. Friends, life will always happen, but can you roll out the spiritual welcome mat for the things that happen in your world? Can you be as a servant to the master? You know, growing up, I grew up in metaphysics, we all know this, and I heard my friends in different religions, and some religions, I can't remember which exactly it was, but maybe the Baptists or something, they would get on their knees to pray. I didn't know about that. I didn't know about getting on your knees to pray. I thought that was something so far-fetched. Why are they doing that? But as I grew older, I realized that it promotes a humbleness in front of God. It promotes a humbleness for the situation that you're going through. It allows you to roll out that spiritual welcome mat and really become humble with the situation that you're going through. Treating, again, as a servant to the master, but also remembering that you're a servant to God, but not to man. Because there's also a translation in the Bible where they say like women should be servants to their husband. No, that's not what we're talking about. We're being a servant to the force of God, to the love of God, letting it take complete control. So always remember, as we think of ourselves as a servant to the master, man is not the master. God is always the master. And with that, we can be enthusiastic for every situation and how it plays out in our world. We can have the excitement, knowing that our excitement for the future is in the assurance that God has given us. Our excitement is in the fulfillment. Our excitement is in our sanity, because also these fears can send our mind all sorts of places with all sorts of thoughts, bringing with it all sorts of experiences, all sorts of new challenges in our world. So we can use our zeal and enthusiasm, this theme for the month, to bring in the protection that we need, the provision that we need, the self that we are so eagerly trying to unfold every day of our life. We can also know that with this now, we don't have to wait for our joy. People are waiting to smile, waiting for the paycheck, waiting for Friday for the paycheck to smile, waiting for whatever to bring forth, waiting for the marriage, waiting for the babe, waiting for all these things, forgetting that you have to enjoy your life now. You have to bring in joy now in order to really experience it when that true desire comes into your world. So today, can you dare to experience joy in the waiting periods? Can you dare to experience joy in the holding periods of your life? When you don't know what is coming next, can you still experience joy? Can you know, believe, and understand that joy is greater than any circumstance that can ever come into your life? God's joy in you is greater than anxiety, greater than dependency, greater than fears, greater than doubts, greater than worries, greater than conflicts, that your joy is so powerful that it removes all the fears from your life. You walk around with a smile on your face, that even when these fears come, you have a soldier of joy saying, oh no, I'm going to beat you down until all the fear is removed. Today, claim the power of your joy. Claim the power in you that removes all of your fears. Would you affirm with me, my joy is so powerful, it removes all my fears. Amen. So here's the other part of it also. Because, again, these responsibilities happen, the responsibility of adulthood that comes with fear, the responsibility of parenthood that comes with fear, and all these things in our world as we're growing that come with fear. Now, saying that we're releasing fear is not saying that we're releasing the responsibility of being a parent or being an adult, being responsible for our world, but what it's really saying is that we have new increasing awareness of God's unfoldment of joy in our world. We have a new increasing awareness of acceptance of the presence of joy in our world. So we're not disconnecting from reality. We're adding a love energy to our reality. We're adding a love energy to our world, and that energy is sustainable. Know that as you give out love, it is being sustained in every area, in every facet of your life. Friends, there will always be an unknown variable in the world. We don't know what's even going to happen a second from now. But having the faith lets us know that even though there may be an unknown variable, even though we may not know what the future may hold, it doesn't have to be scary. It doesn't have to be something that has to be feared. It doesn't have to be something that is concerning in our world. If you're on social media, hopefully you follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Black Diamond Worldwide Outreach. We post inspirational memes throughout the week to keep ourselves encouraged. One of the memes we posted this week says, be mindful of what you can control. And the only thing that you can really control is your reaction and your mindset to any situation that is going on. So you have to be mindful of what you can control when these situations come in. Identify your feelings by name, whether you're anxious or worried or sad or lonely or scared. Again, fear is an emotion that comes into us, but it doesn't mean that it has to live in us. It doesn't mean that it has to soak down into our soul. So we have to identify these feelings, identify them by name, but not suppress them. Sometimes we don't want to deal with them, and I know all about that, but at some point, you're going to have to crack open those feelings and really get to the point of your life. When you do that, you can pinpoint what worries you the most and visualize things going well. Not the worst case scenario, but the best case scenario, knowing that God, that is the outcome of God. Knowing that you begin the prosperity visualization process in your world. Not only do you begin it, you continue it. You grow it every day, every morning that you get up, every time that you go out into the world, you are visualizing what you want that world to be. What are you really visualizing? What we see, what we perceive, what we visualize, what our instinct gives us can be tricky. And it can also get tricky. Our mind can fixate on one experience and make it a reality. I remember one of my, I would say, adopted godchildren. This was about 15 years ago, because now the boy's 20. And he was about 5 years old, and we were just having a little get-together. And at one point, we were just all talking because we hadn't seen each other in a while. And so we're just walking around the party talking. And the music was playing softly in the background. But then all of a sudden, this little 5-year-old boy started performing for all of us. And it was like Smokey Robinson. I forget the song that the Jackson 5 did. I want to say, Who's Loving You? I can't remember the name of the song, but Smokey Robinson said the first time he heard the Jackson 5 sing this song, it was like they'd been here before. You know some kids that have been here before? That they say things with such emotion, with such energy, with such an intelligence that we're just like, how can your 5-year-old mind even absorb this, right? But there he was performing for us, and it was just like he was in the video of whatever song he was performing, and we were just so mesmerized by this child. For a good half hour, he was, singing song after song and performing for us. And we always thought as he grew up, we got to get him into theater. We got to get him into musical theater. We got to get him performing out there. And now that he's 20 years old in college, he wants nothing to do with performance. And in our mind, we're like, but you're so good. Even at 5 years old, you had us mesmerized. But that's not what he wants to do. And our mind, though, now we have to get rid of our warped reality of what we see for him and allow him to live his own life. Just one example, how we can fixate on one thing and make it a reality for ourselves, make it a reality for other people. I also remember another story that happened years ago when my mother was still working. I picked her up from the train station, and she wanted to go to the vegetable store or the vegetable store, however you say it. And it was later on in the day, so the parking lot was empty. And I pulled right in front of the store so I could see it, and right next to the store was a dry cleaners. And my mother went in, and I'm on my phone doing something, probably thumbing through Instagram and just not paying attention. And then maybe about 10 minutes later, I hear my mother open the back door, put plastic bags in the back seat, close the back door, and then open the passenger side door right next to me and come sit down. And when my mother came and sat down, in my mind, this strange man looks at me and goes, "Hey, honey, how was your day?" And as he looks at me, he goes, "You're not my wife." And I go, "No kidding, dude. What are you doing in my car?" As if on cue, his wife pulls up in a similar car just like mine, and our windows were down, and she looks at him and she goes, "Honey, you in the wrong car." And we all just laughed, right? And this happened in about, I want to say less than 60 seconds that we had this experience together. But imagine, just think about the warped reality that we all shared. I thought, since I heard the back door, that was my mother. Since I heard plastic bags in the back seat, that was my mother putting the groceries down, not knowing that the man put his whole dry cleaning in my back seat. And I'm like, okay. And then he had a warped reality thinking that this car that he sees every day, knowing it's his wife's car, this is the right car that he was going into, right? So it means that sometimes we can see things and we have to really judge in our minds. Am I seeing something real or just wanting it to be real? Is it just appearing real? Is it just appearing so in our world? And these are the things that can drive us crazy. So today, friends, claim increasing sanity in your mind. Claim increasing sanity from even the tricks that your mind can play on you, that you look at one thing but don't see it for what it really is, that you become so accustomed to the fear, the doubt, the worry, that that's all you see with your mind. Just know that it is an hallucination that your mind is going through. Stop jumping to conclusions. Know that you have increasing sanity within your consciousness. And as you claim sanity in your mind, you can also claim flexibility in your thoughts, flexibility in your reactions, flexibility in your expectations of your world. Chinese philosopher and writer Lao Tzu says, an unflexible army does not triumph. An unbendable tree breaks in the wind. Thus, the rigid and inflexible will surely fail, while the soft and the flowing will prevail. So it reminds us that there will always be tests of strength in our world. There will always be tests of sanity in our world, but they have come to teach us to be self-reliant. They have come to teach us to be self-reliant on the power of ourself, the power of me. It comes to teach us, how much did you learn from this situation? And even greater than that, how much were you willing to learn in this situation? How much were you willing to not be stubborn? How much were you willing to not live in a stagnant way of life? How much were you willing to adapt and transform, again, rolling out the spiritual welcome mat for the things that happen in your world? Friends, don't get distracted out of your relationship with God. We're so busy thinking that God is going to judge us, but God's energy is love, not judgment. God's energy is love, not judgment. So we can stop thinking that God is judging us harshly. And in that, we can stop judging ourselves harshly. We can stop judging our mind, our body, our soul, our choices, and our mistakes, and bend our will in the consciousness of love. Bend our consciousness in love, in that energy of love. Today, submit to the will of a good love energy in this world. Thank you. Submit to the energy of a good will in this world and know that God's love energy is all that you are and all that you could ever do. Would you affirm with me? I submit to the will of a good love energy. Amen. Right now I'm submitting to the will of whatever allergies is running out of my nose. So please excuse me if you see me wiping my nose. That's just my body loving this change of weather. So we'll continue doing that, right? So today, know that love energy fills your moments and your days right here and right now, but you are the one that has to speak it for yourself. You are the one that has to chase your fears away with the power of yourself. We know that we have a responsibility to love all of humankind. Friends, our happiness, our joy is linked to humanity. And you may think, well, this person is a different color, this person is from a different country. How can we be linked? But we must realize that, and this is so wonderful that nowadays people are talking about things that were taboo back in the day, right? Especially with mental health, right? People are talking about their fears and their phobias and their mental behaviors, right? And that frees others from realizing that I might have some mental issues that I need to deal with. Not only mental, but spiritual and physical. And we can be private with these things, but not shameful in the way that we express these things. We can release the shame, release the stigma, and know that it is all for our highest good. We have to live free. Excuse me. We have to live free in God's healing, in God's success, and gain the power to chase away our fears. In the scripture reading we just read, in 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 8, it says, all of you be like-minded, united in spirit, sympathetic, like family, because we are family, and be courteous and compassionate towards one another as members of one household. What is the household? Planet Earth, right? We are all human beings. We're all sharing this planet. We have to love one another. It continues on to say, be humble in spirit, never return evil for evil or insult for insult, but on the contrary, give a blessing. Pray for one another's well-being, contentment, and protection, and you will inherit God's blessings. Now, forgiveness frees us in the link of humanity. And so many people would say, like, well, this person betrayed me, this person lied to me, this person did all these evil things to me. How can I forgive? Why even should I forgive? Again, because it frees you. When you don't forgive other people, it means you don't forgive yourself. You don't forgive freely yourself from these mistakes. Because if you did, you wouldn't be concerned about what someone else is doing. You would realize that they do not know their true self in the link of humanity. They do not know that the evil that they're doing, the wrong that they have done, adds to their spiritual bank account. And you being unforgiven minuses your love from your spiritual bank account. You cannot allow that to happen. You can't afford to have that happen in your world. So friends, today, bless those hurt feelings. Bless those hard feelings, but understand that those feelings that we're having mean that we are still connected to love. We are still connected to humanity, so build a stronger love for yourself. You might be wounded, you might be confused, but you are not stupid and you are not stuck. People think that just because they can't figure out what to do right away, that they're so dumb that they can't. No, absolutely not. It just means that the unfoldment, the answer has not come yet. You have some lessons to work through in order to get to that fulfillment. But know that within you is God's assignment of success. God's assignment of success. God is a teacher, has only given you this world to be successful, to be your best. Live it right here and right now. Know that you can always rely on the power of your faith, the power of your will, the power of your success. So affirm with me, I can always rely on the power of my faith. I can always rely on the power of my will. I can always rely on the power of my success. And now as we go out into our world now, chasing our fears away with the power that is within us, we can always be aware of our decision to live in fear of the unknown or live in faith in the possibilities of the unknown. Again, there will always be an unknown, but will you live it in fear? Will you meet it with fear? Or will you meet it in faith, knowing that there are possibilities happening within that situation? We're going into Halloween season again. Next week, we're going to go more into Halloween and the really scary things of our world. But you know, when the kids say trick or treat, sometimes we feel that that's life. It's either we being tricked into something or there is a treat happening in our world. And even within our mind, we have to match our intelligence. We have to match the things that we've experienced in our past with God's brilliant future for us. And sometimes those things don't match up, at least to us. We don't see the unfoldment of those things happening in our world. But we must realize that we are still learning. And as we have learned and are still learning, we also have to live. We also have to live with the consciousness, knowing that everything in our past is God's love in action. It is who we need to be. It is what we've needed to experience. It is what we are right here and right now. But at the end of the day, God has given us the birthright to be successful in all things at all times. So would you affirm this last affirmation with me? Affirm, I claim everything in my past as God's love in action. I am successful in all things. One more time, I am successful in all things. So chase those fears away. Let them go. Know that the power in you is greater than any situation in the world. The power in you is greater than those circumstances, that anxiety, those fears, those doubts, those worries, those conflicts in your mind. And whatever the situation, wherever you go, whoever you're speaking to, whatever the language you're speaking or they're speaking to you, it does not matter. There is still the power of you. There is still the power of God in you. Work it, use it, and live it every day of your lives. Thank you so much for listening. I love you, love you, love you. God bless you. Be blessed.